Hello, everyone. I guess we're gonna start. So the way we're gonna go about today is I'm gonna give you a brief introduction on what's going on in the market, how the markets are changing, and then we're gonna be talking about we go into details about the CPA exam, the eligibility. We'll give you some advices and tips and advice how you should prepare for the exam. So just let me start by introducing myself. My name is Fadi Ganni. I am a CPA. I've been a CPA for the last 30 years. I'm a lead instructor. I've been teaching globally the CPA courses around the world, from North America all the way to the Middle East, India, and parts of Europe as well. So I have a long experience in helping candidates prepare for the exam, and I have a long experience advising the candidates how should they study. So hopefully by the end of today's presentation, I will be able to I'll be able to give you a lot of tips on advise how to prepare and study for the exam. We'll leave all the questions answers towards the end. I have my colleagues with me as well, which I will introduce shortly, who will be answering all relevant questions about eligibility, state boards, and any other questions you have. So let's start briefly about Morgan. So we've been running the CPA courses since 1995. We're present in Europe, in Canada, Middle East, and India. We have 28 locations since we started. We work with leading partners such as Becker, Kaplan, Schweizer, SHRM, and many other associations. We have a large faculty globally of 350. We have a network of 28 offices, more than 5,000 students a year, and more than 175,000 alumni. And we work with the multinational and the 500 plus corporate clients, the largest in the world. We offer various certification, but today I'm going to be focusing on the CPA. This is today's topic. So I just want to let you know that there's other professional qualification, the accounting and finance. I can later in the question answer do a bit of comparison, explain the differences. And I've got with me today Anis and Sylvie. They're both program managers. They're based out of Canada. They are with me online. Any questions you have, they will be there to assist you and help you with any questions or information about how to sit for the exam, how to register, or eligibility requirements. So before I get into the CPA, it's very important you understand the marketing trends. The CPA exam today is completely different what it was 2 years or 3 years ago. Actually, starting 2024, the exam is completely changed. We call it now, we call that is the exam evolution. For the first time, the exam has gone through so many changes. So let me talk a bit about the markets. What are the skills before I get into the details on the CPA exam? So as we speak, we're currently going through the fourth industrial revolution. If we go back history, 1780s, we had the industrial revolution, which was the first one, which is shift to mechanical systems. Then the second one happened in the 1890s, where we had the shift to electricity and communication tools. The third industrial revolutions happened in 1950s with the shift to emerging computing power. We used to talk about the mainframe and those large servers. And today we're going through the fourth one, which is the shift to cyber physical society, where we have computers and human beings interacting and working hand in hand. So When we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, we're talking about computers interacting with humans. We're talking about large data, massive amount of data being generated, shared, and stored in using smart technology. We're talking about every function in every industry. Computers are pervading, and it is fast moving. And we're talking about shift towards cyber physical systems. What we mean by cyber physical systems, it's where technology and human work together and provide a seamless experience, and it's an integral part of the fourth industrial revolution. So this is what's going on as we in today's world. If we look at the tasks and compare it between 2022 and what's projected till 2027, as we speak today, around 34% of the tasks, our daily tasks, are done by computers, 66% by humans. Projection 2027 is 43% of the tasks will be done by machines and 57% by humans. So more and more, we're going to be using smart technology. The main thing is all of those changes are requiring to change certain skills. So the core skills, and this data is from the World Economic Forum, what we say is that 44% of the core skills are expected to change within the next 5 years. So the skills requirements for the job being accounting, finance, marketing, any industry, around 44% of the skills that you need to do the job itself will require a different set of skills. If we look at the job growth and losses, we have to the left-hand side, you look at the lost jobs, the red dots. We have around the gray ones are the stable jobs. And if you look at the green to the right, we have around, these are the new created jobs. So around 23% of the jobs today will change. So when I say jobs will change, these are complete change. The stable jobs will require a different set of skills. They will change, but they still within certain framework where you still can conduct them, but with a different set of skills. If I zoom in into the finance and accounting functions, the main trends or focus area is on AI, Internet of Things, and the blockchain. So the accounting and finance is being impacted as well. CPA exam is being impacted because of that. The main, when it comes to the finance area, AI is playing a big role now in data analytics. The Internet of Things, we'll talk about them, and the blockchain. So big data analytics, financial transactions, automation, AI, fintech, and distributed ledger technology, which is the blockchain, is really now an important part of the accounting functions and roles. It's no more about producing the income statement and the balance sheet. It's more about how you analyze the data, how you do predictive analysis, and how you put the internal controls around all those entries, accounting entries, and processes. This is really where it is heading, and this is where now most of the future CPAs will be doing jobs. If you're working for the Big Four, these are type of skills that the Big Four are asking for now. So in summary, if we look at the skills, the top skills, and this is across all industries, it's not only accounting. We're talking about analytical thinking and research, creative thinking, resilience, flexibility, motivation, self-awareness, curiosity, technological literacy, dependability and attention to details, empathy, active listening, leadership and social influence, and quality controls. Again, this is from the World Economic Forum. for the future of jobs. And they might look simple skills, but they're not. When we talk about research, it's a very important task. Any employer now requires that you have those skills to be able to do research, creative thinking, how you think outside the box, you find new solutions. When we talk about resilience, we're talking about adaptability and being able to learn and do things differently in a fast moving environment. Of course, lifelong learning is very important. You stay up to date. So these are what the employers now they look for when they hire the new recruits. One thing, if you go into more in depth into the research, into those studies, I would say the number one that employers always spoke about is curiosity. They're looking for candidates who are curious to learn and adapt. It is scored very high, and research scored very high. Candidates being able to take a certain situation, they go research it and come up with solution. These two are very important. Now, having said all of this, so I'll just give you a glimpse of where the markets are heading, what are the skills, how things are moving, what's impacting the accounting and finance. Let's zoom in into the CPA, and I will be able to relate throughout talking about CPA. You will eventually be able to relate what I'm talking about now when we go into the various topics of the CPA exam and why the CPA exam is changing. So the good news is that there's shortage in terms of CPAs globally. And the demand for CPA is still expected to grow at a 6%, yet there's not enough supply of CPAs globally. This is a fact. The firms are finding it difficult to recruit and find CPAs, yet the industry is growing. So this is good news for those who are planning to go for the CPA. The exam itself, why you want to choose the US CPA compared to others, they're all good. There's not one certification better than others, but the US CPA has a global recognition. Simply, it is the designation of the largest economy around the world, and it is the most advanced in terms of the way the questions are asked and the period it takes you to really, from start to finish, the time it takes to really get it over and done with. So it's globally recognized. It has an appeal beyond the traditional accounting roles. When you look at the topics, it's cross-border, it's globally. You can CPA is CPA, whether you sit for the exam in Canada or in the US or in India, it is the same exam. It's globally recognized, and it demonstrates your regulatory compliance, your ability to be able to navigate through complex regulatory environment. You learn that through while preparing for that exam. So the exam is not only about accounting and technical knowledge. It will test in certain instances about your leadership, your communication, decision making, business acumen. It will test your certain aspects of technology, IT governance and cybersecurity, data analytics and research, and systems and controls. So you're not only about accounting and balance sheet and income statement and statement of cash flow, you learn about technology, IT governance, data analytics is all part now of the exam, and general business acumen. It's all part of what you'll be tested on for 2024 CPA exam. NASBA, which is the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy, again, they list what are the top reasons. A lot of candidates who've gone through it, they tell you it's career satisfaction, their career development, they move fast up the ladder much faster. It gives them some kind of sense of security It's highly respected. It's a title next to your name. Of course, it comes with the better returns and financial returns and benefits. In particular, for the Canadian candidates, if I want to look at why a US CPA should, why a Canadian should pursue the US CPA, many of the reasons I mentioned before. In addition, companies in Canada, because of the close proximity to the US market, so there's a lot of trade between Canada and the US. Many Canadian companies have to report or produce certain reporting, financial reporting based on US GAAP. So there's a high demand for CPAs. The Big Four or Big 10 in Canada as well, they have departments, they're looking for US CPA tax experts. And there's a reciprocity arrangement between the Canadian CPA and the American CPA, where if you are a Canadian CPA, you want to become a US, you have a certain route you can do it, and vice versa. And the CPA exam can be completed much faster in 12 to 18 months. Within 12 to 18 months, you can complete the CPA exam. And in some instances, you can complete it within 6 to 8 months. The major benefits of the US CPA over the Canadian, I'm not saying it is better, I'm saying the benefits is the time taken and the cost involved. So really, if we look at the time span and the cost, it's a much cheaper to obtain your US CPA versus the Canadian, and the time span is much shorter. It doesn't mean it is easier. It's a different approach than the Canadian CPA. It's not better. It is as respected. It's just that the approach is completely different. Now, if we look at to obtain your CPA, there are three main elements you need to address: the education, the exam, and the experience. To sit for the US CPA, all what you require is to meet the education requirements of the state board where you're applying to sit for the exam. So anyone can sit for the exam. The general rule is you have to have a university degree with a major in accounting. So if you meet the requirements, you're able to sit for the exam. In order to have the title CPA next to your name, then you need to meet the 3E. Of course, you need to be able to sit for the exam, you have to pass the exam, and you have to provide of 2 years of experience. The experience can be obtained before or after the exam, it doesn't matter, as long as you obtain between 1 or 3 years of experience, depending on the type of experience. And according to each state board have different requirements. You've passed the exam, it's a 4-part, then you can have the title CPA next to your name. So what is the education requirements? Very simple. You must have at least a minimum of a bachelor degree or a higher. So any Canadian graduate from a university, or it doesn't have to be Canadian university, if you have a 4 years of a bachelor accredited degree, you shouldn't, with a major in accounting, on an average 15 to 18 accounting credits, you should not have a problem of applying for the CPA exam. For the license, there are different requirements, which is additional 30 credits over and above the 120, and of course, meeting the CPE requirements. The experience is 1 to 3 years, and the exam, passing the exam is 4-part examination. So in 2024, the exam have changed. Remember at the beginning, I said that I gave you the trends and talking about the trends and the digital economy and the fourth industrial revolution. The CPA exam is also changing, and in 2024, it was a major change. It is the biggest change ever in the history of the CPA exam. So why it is changing? One, the exam has to adapt to the new technology advancement. So they've included a lot of the technology is going to be tested across all parts of the exam. You're not being tested to be a computer engineer. However, you have to have a set of skills, and the typical accounting standard skills that we used to learn is no longer relevant. So they've added those skills. They want to stay ahead of the game, and they are embracing the change with the changes and incorporating new skills alongside the core accounting skills. That's why the exam is changing. So now the AI CPA are saying, hey, you need the core skills accounting, but that's not sufficient. We need to adapt. You need to learn new skills related to governance, sustainability, technology, and along the way, they want to update the content to stay relevant. Now, other reasons why the CPA exam has changed in 2024 is shift in hiring trends. Like I've mentioned before, the hiring practices of the firms are now favoring individuals with non-accounting background, but specialized competencies in technology. So a lot of the firms now, they say, hey, we don't want you to be an accounting graduate to work for us. They're looking different set of skills. So they want to leverage data. They want people with knowledge of analytical tools and technology-focused skills. Let me put it that way. And the universities are not addressing the gap, so the exam is filling that gap. So when we talk about technology, we talk about, sorry about this, cybersecurity, we talk about IT governance, system organization, and control engagement. So we're still looking at it from the accounting finance point of view, but those additional set of skills, you should have them in order to find a job. So data and technology will be tested across all parts of the exam. You really need to understand how the data is structured, and it's part of the core and disciplines, which talk about them, and how the information flows through the IT systems. And they're now testing on the higher order of skills, which is the critical thinking, problem solving, analytical ability, professional skepticism, and research. Remember when I showed you the previous slide when I talked about the most important skills, the top 10 skills? So critical thinking was important, research was important. They're all now embedded in the CPA exam as well. These are the skills that you'll be tested on. So let's talk about the exam. It's always been a 4-part examination. The history has. So on my days, I had to sit for 4 parts. Today, you still have to sit for 4 parts, but you have a choice. The exam is now divided into core and advanced content. When we talk about the core, these are 3-part examination. Every candidate has to sit for them, which is the financial accounting and reporting, auditing and attestation, taxation and regulation. So every candidate planning to sit for the CPA exam have to sit for the 3-part core examination, which is financial accounting, auditing, and taxation. These are the core parts. The new thing that have changed is now you have the discipline part, which is you choose one out of the 3 parts. You can choose either business analysis and reporting, or information system and control, or tax compliance and planning. So it's kind of specialization. On my days, or in 2023, we did not have that choice. We had 4-part exams. You take it, and that's it. Now you have the 3 core that every auditor, accountant have to have knowledge. They're common. Everybody goes through it. And then you choose one discipline out of the 3. And it depends on your career path. So the financial accounting and reporting, it is around study time between 80 and 100 hours. Same thing for the auditing, same thing for the taxation and regulation. We're talking about 6 units covered in each part of those exams. And if we look at the disciplines, the business analysis and reporting, the bar is the longest. It's 5 units, but it requires more preparation between 100 and 120 hours, while the information system and control, it is only 60 to 80 hours, 40 units, and tax compliance and planning, again, 4 units, 60 to 80. What the feedback we've been getting is that the bar, which is business analysis and reporting, it is the most difficult part. And what we've been getting is that the information system and controls, it is not as difficult as the business analysis and reporting. But again, this is the feedback we've been getting. It doesn't mean that it is 100% factual. So you have the financial accounting is 4 hours examination, audit is 4 hours, regulation is 4 hours, and the discipline is 4 hours. A total of 16 hours of exams. And the minimum passing grade on each part is 75. You choose the state board that meets your education requirements. This is Sylvie and Anis will advise you once we look at your educational background and what courses you have taken. We can advise on which state board to sit for the exam, because every state board has a different requirements, but it is a one uniform exam. And once you've passed one part, you have 30 months to complete the remaining parts. So once you pass, and you can start with any part. Let's say you started with audit. You have 30 months to complete the remaining parts. If you don't complete the remaining parts within 30 months, then any part that you've passed that is longer than 30 months, time-wise, it will be canceled and you have to repeat the process. So the NASBA wants you to finish all 4 parts within 30 months. If one part has passed more than 30 months, it will be canceled and you have to repeat that exam part. The questions are multiple choice questions and task-based simulation. So it's 100% computer-based examination. Usually you have around 2 testlets and 3 task-based simulation. When we talk about multiple choice question, is A, B, C, D, 1 out of the 4 is the correct answer, and they're pretty tricky. And the task-based simulation is usually a big case with several questions about it. It could be prepare an income statement, or it could be prepare a note to the managing partner, or it could be draft an audit report. So it's really, or it could be one big case and several questions related to the 4 parts of the exam. The skills level, you'll be tested on evaluation, how you assess the problem and use judgment and draw conclusion, analysis, how you do the interrelationship between different areas to identify really what is the issues and how you find the evidence, how you apply and demonstrate your knowledge and concepts and techniques, and some topics require remembering and understanding. If I go one level detail, if we look at the financial accounting, you'll be looking at financial reporting, select balance sheet items, and select transactions. It's around 50 multiple choice questions and 7 task-based simulation. And you don't need to get into that level of detail about remembering, understanding, application analysis. All what you need to know is that it's 3 units with 50 multiple choice questions and 7 task-based simulation between 80 and 100 hours. While if we look at the auditing, it's 4 sections. You go over ethics, professional responsibilities, and general principle auditing principles. Then how you assess the risk and develop planned response, how you perform further evidence, and how you form conclusion. 78 multiple choice questions and 7 task-based simulations. While the taxation and regulation is 5 units, ethics, business law, federal taxation of property, plant, transaction, and federal taxation of individuals. So you'll be focusing on taxation for individuals and corporates and state taxes, 72 multiple choice questions and 8 task simulation. You require 80 to 100 hours of preparation. And these are the core. If we go into the discipline, we are looking at the business analysis and reporting, which is the longest part. You'll be going in more detail, technical detail in accounting. So you have business analysis, technical accounting and reporting, and state and local governments. So that part covers governmental accounting, 50 multiple choice questions and 7 tax-based simulation. While the information system and control, you'll be going over information system and data management, security, confidentiality, privacy, and consideration for organization systems and controls. 82 multiple choice questions and 6 task-based simulation, but only requires 60 to 80 hours of preparation. And the final part, which is the tax compliance and planning, if you want to specialize in taxes, you go over tax planning, tax compliance for entities and property transactions. 68 multiple choice question and 7 tax-based simulation. Again, is not a long. Preparation time is between 60 and 80 hours. Now the question mark comes, which is the most important. Which discipline should you choose, go for? And is there any specific discipline more important than other discipline? So there's not one discipline more important than the other. It all depends on what skills you want to learn and what skills you are looking for. The firms and the market will require all disciplines. So what is your preference? What skills do you want to obtain? And what do you like is depends on your career aspirations. So if you're looking at business analysis and reporting, so the skills expertise you learn from that is data analytics, financial risk management, technical accounting and reporting, and governmental accounting. If you want to obtain those skills, then you go for the business analysis and reporting. You can work as an auditor, you can work as a controller, chief accountant, CFO, CEO, but these are the type of skills. For all of them, you can work as an auditor, but this is where, with the bar, you learn about data analytics, risk management, and more technical accounting. While if you're looking at information system and controls, your skills will be at data management, information system, information security, business processes, and SOC engagements. So if these are the type of skills, you can work as a data manager, data engineer, chief information officer, even as an auditor or IT auditor, then you go for the information system and control. And the last part, if you want to gain expertise in tax, advanced tax compliance, personal financial planning, corporate tax compliance, and property transaction as well. These are the tax implications, and you want to be as a tax analyst or tax compliance officer, or you have your own tax practice, then you go for the TCP part. So it all depends on what you're really looking for. Let me address a bit as well the preparation and what you require in order and how much time you need, and then I'll answer all the questions that you have. Now, as Morgan, we utilize the Becker platform, and we are exclusive partners of Becker. It is the largest CPA course globally. It is the most expensive one as well, but it is the I would say the top #1 course in the US, and it is the oldest course in the US. It's been in the market for more than 60 years. More than 1 million candidates have prepared using Becker. The top 100 accounting firms have exclusivity with Becker. So all the big four, the big 10, they're exclusively with Becker in the US. 90% of the award, we have something called in the What Sells Award. Those who score very high on the CPA exam every year, they're given awards. So 90% of the What Sells Awards are usually Becker alumni. So the top scorers are Becker alumni. And Becker works with more than 3,100 accounting firms, government agencies, universities, and many other. So it's a really well-established course, a long history, and proven track record. The passing rates, so Becker has reported, just to give you what we mean by that, is that the system will tell you whether you're exam ready or not. There are certain criteria, which I will show it to you shortly. So the Becker bump, 94% of the candidates who've taken Becker and have been labeled as exam ready, their chances of passing the exam is 94%. And what we mean by exam readiness, there are certain criteria. You've done all the multiple choice questions, you're scoring 80% and above, you repeated the multiple choice questions more than 2 times. Once you followed the system and done what we told you to do, your chances of passing the CPA exam is 94%. So this is a very high passing rate, provided you are exam ready and you meet that criteria. So with the Morgan Live online prep experience, what we'll be getting is access could be limited or unlimited, either 24-month or unlimited. You get 400 plus task-based simulation. You will have the mobile app. We cover the 4 parts. You have more than 400 skill builder videos. They show you how to address the question. They help you work the question. You have either printed and annotated digital textbooks. You have both digital and printed. More than 1,350 flashcards. These are tools that help you memorize certain knowledge. You will have access to the Adapt to You technology that we use it at Becker, and more than 7,000 multiple choice questions from previous exams, more than 200 bit-sized videos of our US national instructors. You have 12 mini exams and 8 full simulated exam, a question answer database, and we have our academic support, access to instructors whenever you have questions. And if you want additional final review content, it is available. So I don't want to. So what you will be getting is a complete coaching system with an access to a platform that tracks your progress. It gives you skill practice, and you become the skill master. Video access to videos that work with you on each multiple choice question to how to address problems, and it will provide you with exam simulation. We use Becker Adapt to You technology, which is the system, once you've gone into the system, will understand your weakness and your strength, and will start giving you personalized review sessions. So what we mean by that is that it will learn your strength and weakness, and it will start filling that gap by providing you new content on the areas where you're weak, And on the areas where you're strong at, it gives you spaced repetition, or it skips them. And on your areas of weakness, it start repeating them. It's really an adaptive learning system. And for each lecture, remember, you have each model. Like this lecture have 3 models. On each model, it will tell you before and after, how you were scoring before and after. And it's divided on model by model. And usually, to be exam ready, you have to have the 3 stars filled. So it's really constantly accessing your knowledge. And once the lecture is filled 3 stars, it means you've mastered that topic. And you will assign your exam once you have really filled the 3 stars. You will have the skill master videos. These are videos how to deconstruct problems, how you do problem solving and time management. And it works with you, the task-based simulation and the multiple choice questions. Additionally, you will get a simulation exam that really mimics the actual exam. You have 3 simulated exams per part, and they are weighted and corrected according to the way the actual exam is corrected. And you will work with the instructors those exams as well. And it is timed, it's the same font, the same features as the actual exam. You will have access to a study planner as well. You tell the system how much time you can afford per week to study, when you plan to sit for the exam, and the system will design a plan for you. It's really, I don't need to speak a lot about Becker. It is the #1. You can talk about it. You can ask colleagues who sat for the CPA exam, they will give you the advice. My last advice for those is really, you can have the best system, but the hard work is on you. So a lot of times we've been asked the question is, who are your instructors? What is your passing rate? What is this? What is that? And my answers always go back, and that's through 30 years of experience, is how hard are you willing to work? If you put the time and the effort and the commitment, you will pass. If you don't put the time and the effort, you will not pass. There's no instructor that will make you pass. There's no textbook that will make you pass. There's no system that will make you pass. At the end of the day, we want to give you all the tools that you need to make that journey as easy as possible without without having to rely on external other sources, but the hard work, you need to do it. So if you're committed and you follow the platform and the system, you shouldn't have any problem of passing the exams. So in order to do that, we request from you to put 2 to 4 hours every week outside the classroom time, doing homework and reviewing the content. You need to focus on previous exam questions and task-based simulation. One of the big mistakes that the candidate do is they focus on the content, they focus on the books, and this will not help you pass the exam. Even if you memorize the textbook from cover to cover, the only way you pass those professional exams is by practicing previous exam questions. So the focus should be on solving previous exam questions. You need to practice the mock exams, and only get back to the textbook if you're having trouble in certain area. But focus on solving the previous exam questions and make use of the platform. On the actual day of the exam, it is a computer-based examination. Try to arrive early. You're required to have an ID. You will go through security. You'll be given a notepad, and then you launch the exam. So it's very important you be ahead of time at that examination center so you don't panic the last minute. And on the exam, paper, books, food are prohibited. You're not allowed to eat or smoke. No communication, calculators, mobiles, any communication, recording devices, you're not allowed to. And if you want to leave the exam room, you need to take a permission. So be careful about these small things. This is it for me. We are here to answer any questions. Thank you for attending. Any questions, you can type them. I can read the question and answer it, or my colleague can answer them online. So we have one question saying that after you pass all 4 exams, how long do you have to gain the work experience requirements? So the experience requirement do not need to be gained after the passing the exam. The experience can be after or before. So the count of the experience, it doesn't count only once you pass the exam. If you have experience now, it will be counted. The experience varies from state board to state board. On an average, it's between 1 and 3 years, depending on the type of experience and the state board. But I would say, on a general, you're required to have 2 years experience. And again, it depends on type of experience. Is it audit, non-audit? So the average is 2 years, and any experience is counted, whether before sitting the exam or after passing the exam. So there's a question here. What do you recommend? Finish all 4 parts and then go to the exam, or finish one part by part? That's a tricky question. So my recommendation would be the following. The entire 4 parts, the examination at the end of the day, it's all interrelated. If you're sitting for an audit part, you really need to know your financial accounting. There's cross knowledge across the parts. My recommendation would be, but it doesn't mean if you take part by part that you will not make it. But the knowledge comes together once you completed the 4 parts together. My recommendation would be, you either you study and go for the 4 parts, or you take 2 parts at a time. What I mean by 2 parts at a time is that don't take 1 part and sit for the exam 1 part. Register for 2 parts and take 2 parts. So if you're planning to take 2 parts, like the financial accounting with the bar, they go hand in hand. We will advise on which 2 parts to take, but take at least 2 parts at a time. And plan to sit for the exam within 1 month, maximum to 1 month and a half after completing the course. Don't finish the course today and schedule the exam 5 months after. You will forget all the details. It's always better to really focus, zoom, get it over, done as quickly as possible. So my advice is 2 parts at a time, not 1 part at a part, but it is doable. And always plan to sit for the exam within 1 month after completing the course. Can I complete 4 exams in 1 year? Yes, you can complete the 4 parts of the exam in 1 year. The exams are on a daily basis, and a lot of people complete the exam, the 4 parts, in 1 year. Some complete them within 8 months. Can I get exemption of experience based on the ACCA? Unfortunately, the AICPA does not do any exemptions. They have a reciprocity arrangement with the Canadian, but they don't give any exemptions on the CPA exam. Unlike the ACCA, where you have 13 papers, the foundation and the professional. So the ACA, they do exemptions on certain criteria. The CPA, there are no exemptions. I work in the finance department doing expenses. Will that experience work? In general, they don't specify what is the experience. It should be related to the field you're working. So it's very hard for me to answer that question. we really need to know when you're doing the expenses, are you auditing the expenses or not? We need more details to understand. But if you're working within the finance department, accounting, you shouldn't be having a problem. Can we share the cost guidance on average salaries? Okay, well, I'll answer that, but let me answer too. The most popular package offers up to 1,000 for retaking the exams. Are there any conditions must be met in the event of exam failure to qualify for that benefit? The most popular for retaking the exam. I think here what you're talking about is the money bank guarantee. I'm not sure what you mean by the 1,000. I have no idea what it is. Is it the money bank guarantee? There are certain requirements by Becker to meet that. So it's not the exam fees. In case you fail and you meet certain criteria, I'm not really sure what you mean by the popular offers up to. So the premium package self-study in the US comes with money bank guarantee up to 1,000. So it's $250 per part of the exam. In case you take the course and you meet the criteria and you pass the exam, Becker will refund you $250 for each part of the exam that you failed. This is what it means. What should you study if you have a Canadian CPA and how long it will take? So if you're a Canadian CPA and you meet the certain criteria, then you sit for the IQEX exam. So it's a short exam. It's mainly tests on the differences in tax laws and business laws, but there are certain criteria. It takes only 1 month to finish from that program. As long as you have a Canadian CPA in good standing and you meet certain criteria. So Anis and Sylvie, they're asking about the costs here. I don't have it.
Yes, Fadi, please allow me to answer this question. What we'll be
Yes.
doing after this session, we're gonna send like a consolidated email for all of the attendees that contains most of the information that which were tackled in our today's webinar, including the cost breakdown and the study packages that we are offering currently. We don't want to go now into all the details because we have like a big amount of packages, so we can send them by email and then we can talk separately about them with each and every candidate.
Okay, thank you. But they are in the range of almost 2,000.
Yes,
approximately.
when we talk about the unlimited package, be it for the self-study or for the live online, we can talk about the packages that starts by 3.5K, 3,500 Canadian dollars, and it can reach till 4,500. But again, it depends on the package and what the candidate wants to have. So, but this is like
Okay.
the bracket.
Okay. And the same person asked about the salary guides. Definitely, the salary is much higher if you are certified, if you have a certification. Not only it is higher, your career progression is much faster. So you have to look at it from both perspectives. One is you can negotiate your package better if you're certified, but your career progression is much faster. And it varies from one country to another. But I can tell you on an average, over the career path of a certified person versus non-certified, the difference is very, very big. We have, can I use current West evaluation of my university degree accounting? Yes, depending on the state board. So if you have currently an evaluation done by West, and depending on the state board, will verify whether it is valid or not.
Yes, Fadi, please here let me interfere. As you have mentioned, the WES is accepted in some of the state boards. Basically,
Yes.
most of the state boards, they accept the NIS or the FACS. They don't accept the West, but again, in some specific cases, in some specific jurisdictions, the West is accepted. So it depends on where you would like to apply to create your file. Then we can give you the answer whether the West will be accepted or not.
Okay. So there's a question here about I'm not asking about exemption for education requirement, but for the experience requirements. There was a slide about 3 years experience. What if it's 10 years in? Okay. So we have someone he's asking about the exemption of education requirement, but for experience requirements. No, even the experience, there are no exemptions on the actual exam. There could be exemption in terms of if you don't have a university degree and you have experience that's equivalent to a university degree in some specific state boards, it will give you exemption from university degree. But okay, the question I go was, well, what if I have experience not under a licensed CPA, but international CA? So even under international CA, you don't, you can, it doesn't have to be only under a CPA. So any certified, even if it's a Indian chartered accountant or British chartered accountant experience, as long as somebody can testify this is valid experience, it doesn't have to be under US CPA. So it is 3 years, whether it's under US CPA or non-US CPA, it is acceptable. So there's a question is, what is the difference between each jurisdiction for exam license? It has to be addressed with our team members one-on-one, because there's some jurisdictions you're not allowed to sit for the exam. Some jurisdictions, they require that you have to have a work permit. So it's a big question. We need to look at your profile and we'll advise you on which jurisdiction. There are jurisdictions that are very common for international candidates.
Yes, that's right, Fadi. So the state board selection is done on a case-to-case basis. That's why we cannot generalize. But the best thing to be done is to share with us the like the transcripts so that we can review them, and then we can give you the most appropriate state board that could be suitable for your case. But in general, all of the state boards, we have mentioned this in the presentation, all of the state boards, they will test you for the same knowledge, you will follow the same examination process, and they will provide you with the same US CPA designation at the end of the day after passing your exams.
Yes. So there's a question is about communication. Communication is no longer tested written communication on the exam. So it is now mostly, of course, spelling is important, but the exam is not a TOEFL exam. And there's less weight on testing you on written communication. I think we've answered all the questions. So I'm going to take the time to thank everyone for attending the session. I want to wish you the best of luck. And here's our contacts. So we have Sylvia and Anise. If you have any questions, just reach out to them. They can discuss this further. Thank you very much, and best of luck on your whatever you decide to do. We are here to support you and help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Fadi and Anis.
Thank you.
Reach out. We're there for you.